It's 9 o'clock, just in time for NTV's Weekend Edition, and these are the top stories as captured by our newsroom for this August 10th day of 2018.
Making it for this report.
Tonight, we give you details of what transpired as Parliament debated the sugar report.
Other agencies that can still carry on investigations, the DCI for example.
But where does this leave Mwananchi?
Hatujui Rwala tuendelee na kunywa sukari ama tuachane nayo.
Also tonight, the long arm of the dreaded green bulldozer caught up with UK Centre.
There is no river whatsoever under the UK Centre. What there is a stream.
And the demolition spells disaster.
Hatuna kazi sahi. Tujui tuenda wapi, what next?
Also in the bulletin, Mao Forest evictees accuse police officers of sexually abusing their women during the evictions.
Sio ya kwanza, alifanya siku nyingine tena, juzi tena na jana alifanya hiyo maneno.
Also ahead, he faced mountains but geared up and went hiking. Douglas Mwangi is young, visionary and a beacon of hope for Mathare.
If you do something that you're really passionate about, the possibilities are endless.
NTV Weekend Edition with Mark Masai.
Glad you could join us. I'm not alone. I'm with Flora Tino, who's bringing the news in sign language. And we start with breaking down the latest on the list of demolitions here in the capital. Police have established a special desk at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation headquarters where owners of buildings put up on riparian land are required to present any approval documents given to them by the authorities. Police say this will help narrow down to the government officials who illegally approved them, as the president ordered their prosecution. Earlier this morning, the UK Centre in Westlands was brought down in a campaign that the government says will bring down the last of the buildings standing on riparian land.
UK Centre in Westlands was the latest to fall to the government bulldozers this week. Early morning, the machine began bringing down the four-story building in what has been an aggressive campaign to pull down buildings put up on a riparian land. The company that manages the building quite unhappy with the turn of events less than 24 hours after they appeared in court and Parliament seeking to have the demolitions stopped.
It categorically states that we don't have any law left in this country. We are not respecting our laws, our courts.
Veral Shah, whose company manages the UK Centre, now says he will be back in court to seek redress for the losses incurred. He says he had all the approvals before the buildings was put up.
They have not authorized any agency to commence with the demolitions, but what we have seen today behind me is a shocking surprise.
Following this concern, the Director of the Criminal Investigations has opened a special desk at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road to register concerns of those affected by the ongoing demolition.
I'd also like to put on record what the nation thinks, that the UK Centre always had a river under it, but that is untrue. There is no river whatsoever under the UK Centre. What there is a stream, a canalized stream, which is behind the building, which is a few meters away from the building.
Following a directive from the President, the National Police Service now says it is investigating government officials who approved the construction of these properties over riparian land.
So if, for example, you want to buy a property or you want to invest and construct a property, it is important that you go through the requisite standards.
But for those who worked at the UK Centre, the bulldozers also crushed their dreams and their source of livelihood.
Sasa vile imebomolewa, tunashangaa wenyewe serikali inafanya mzuri kwa kubomoa kutafuta njia. Lakini waje tupanga kama raia wazalendo ama raia wa chini, tutafanya namna gani ili na sisi tujue tutafanya shughuli gani ama tutaenda wapi ama tumepangiwa wapi.
Nimeserve kama parking boy hapa. Na hiyo nini, hii parking ndio imekuwa ikinilisha watu wangu, sasa ina watu watatu. na wote nimekuwa nikiwa serve kwa parking hapa, achungia mse gari, mse anakuja ananibia kitu.
Na tumeadhirika kwa maana tulikuwa na salon hapa ndani na imevunjwa already na hatuna kazi sasa hivi. Tujue tutaenda wapi, what next? Tujaruhusiwa tutoe vitu zingine ziko ndani.
And for Nakumatt Holdings, which was one of the tenants here, the bulldozers also crashed their turn-around plans.
We have gone through many disasters, but this is one more disaster, full out into demolishing buildings and doing what they have to do with so-called riparian and rivers and streams and gutters. But why were these three places targeted first before they could start from a point A to a point Z?
The government says the plans to reclaim riparian land will be relentless. Many more structures have been earmarked for demolition.
We respect all our religious institutions. What we are going to do, yeah, because hii mambo ya Mungu ya nini, we are going to allocate shamba. Hii temple ijenge mali ingine. That one we will consider that, because pia tutaki kucheza na Mungu na religious institutions. Yeah, but he's right. Whatever he said is right. They've already been served with a notice, but we will allow them to remove all their valuables. Yeah, tutaki kuwa malicious, as I've said, but we are going to allocate land some other areas. We've got plenty of county land. Wajenge temple yao huko, but there it has to be removed. Yes.
For now, many will continue to count its losses as others, fearful of ending up with the same fate, ponder over what the night will bring at their doorstep.
The crumbling of the UK centre in Westlands comes after a protracted battle to save the wetlands it stands on, a battle that began in the mid-90s when its construction began. Led by famed Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai and buoyed by government ministers, the battle to stop the construction failed, and the building was left standing but exposed to the elements of nature, as witnessed in the recent cases of flooding in the capital. NTV's Brenda Wanga explores a history of impunity that has finally been brought to a tumbling halt.
The life of the UK centre in Westlands ended just as it had begun. This chance by Greenbelt movement activists who wasted no time in reclaiming this piece of the Kibarage wetland mirrored those that marked the beginning of the construction of the UK centre in 1994. The centre's existence has been marred in controversy right from the beginning, prompting environmentalists then to put up a spirited but unsuccessful fight to stop the concrete tower from rising. Amongst those who fought against this construction was Nobel Peace Prize winner, the late Wangari Maathai.
I really can't understand why people want to do things that destroy this beautiful country. I can't understand why people think that it is much better to have tarmac instead of a beautiful environment.
Before the owners of the building began digging up its foundation, the National Environmental Management Authority had conducted an environmental impact assessment that year that had indicated that the area was indeed a wetland and was unsuitable for construction. That, however, did not stop the owners from carrying on with their works.
Both sides of the river.
The government's opposition to the project was also registered, at least verbally. In 2009, then Lands Minister James Orengo was categorical.
If they have erected buildings and the buildings are not in accordance with these conditions, or according to the various statutes which I've read out, and which you'll have the benefit of reading through, anything that has violated any of these legislation or statutes are illegal structures. And when a structure is illegal, however big or small it is, the legal consequences is that it has to be removed.
The ministry had, just like NEMA, established that the project was being undertaken on top of a tributary that drained into the Nairobi River. That promise to demolish the UK centre alongside Westgate and Oshawa centres came and went with no action. The fact that the building had encroached on riparian land was perhaps most evident when the floods hit the city recently. Floodwaters followed the natural course of the river and found their way inside the basement of the building. The owners of the building, however, have been insistent that they did everything right. The approvals and the construction was beyond reproach.
We have got all the approvals from 94. We have invested money. That property is worth more than 1 billion shillings, and we are just playing around with psychology. Today I had to bring my wife together with me because if I collapse here, she could at least take me home.
Unlike in the past when the owners have moved the courts to stop the demolition of the building, this time round the authorities didn't grant their wishes, and early Friday morning the dreaded bulldozers began the process of reclaiming the wetlands, much to the satisfaction of those who have been calling for the tearing down of what they have considered as a monument of impunity.
We bring our plants back, and that's why you have even a bamboo and any other plant that can bring the water back, because we look forward to a few years to come when our rivers again will flow, when we have our own dependent reclaimed as it was, as God intended it.
But their plans may have to wait until the demolition exercise is complete. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
As the government intensifies its campaign against buildings erected either illegally or on riparian land, there have been questions about who approved their construction. NTV's Silas Apollo reports on how this came to be and how the decisions by some of the officials of the approving agencies like NEMA and the Water Resources Authority to ink their signatures of approval have returned to haunt them.
It has been a bound and a determined bid to finally bring down what can be described as the monuments of impunity. Buildings said to have been constructed on riparian land torn down by bulldozers on the order of the government. But even as the campaign gains momentum, focus is slowly shifting to some of the government agencies whose officials are said to have okayed the constructions. One such case came to the limelight during yesterday's stormy session held by the National Assembly's Committee of Environment and Natural Resources. This is after owners of the UK building, the latest to fall on the edge of the government's sharp sword, put officials of NEMA and Water Resources Authority on the spot for approving the construction of the building.
Just confirm if that letter is from National, from Water Resource Authority, or it is from another, or it is from the sea. Yeah, he is the one who assigned it. Give it to him. Then let him just sit with him somewhere there. Then take him to what he assigned.
Actually, the issue is maybe
take the mic. Maybe kidogo ondokea kidogo so that they can be able now to pick up your issue on canalization.
But NEMA and WRA officials defended themselves.
UK was saying, when it was mentioned UK, maybe I could not recall because I had not seen the document, but we have set some conditions as we do the approval for canalization. And as I said earlier, we can allow for canalization depending on whether you want to do.
But that is not all. Owners of the imposing South End Mall, which was pulled down on Wednesday, have also threatened to move to court to challenge the demolition. They argue that it was NEMA and Nairobi City County that approved the construction.
Why the government is doing this? Ni kama umbwa inatabika na kukura. Why? Mnachanganya vitu kwa nini? Hii na hii sasa mnasema si yetu hata iko mbali kuliko hii inajengwa sahi.
President Uhuru Kenyatta said the government will go after these officials and they will be prosecuted. Sentiments echoed today by Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. NEMA says that it targets about 4,000 buildings which have been built either illegally or on riparian land both in Nairobi and Mombasa. The Institution of Surveyors of Kenya now says that the back and forth could be blamed on a lack of clarity in the law guiding the construction of buildings.
What would have happened is, first, an audit of the licenses they've issued. To what extent are they irregular? And notify the owner who sought approval from their office why they are irregular.
Silas Apollo, NTV.
In light of the ongoing demolition seeking to restore the capital's environment, the management of the village market claims that neither the said mall, that is the village market, nor the Tribe Hotel are built on wetlands. The firm adds that no environmental or demolition notice has been issued in regard to the two establishments, contrary to some reports. There are, however, many other buildings that have been earmarked for demolition, and this story we will continue to follow. The story just before this, looking at state enablers of impunity within the environment of buildings within the city. There seems to be the same concern in terms of importation of sugar. Tonight, bribery claims rock Parliament. There are claims that shortly before debate on the sugar report yesterday afternoon, members of Parliament may have received amounts from 10,000 shillings to vote against the sugar report. Several members of Parliament traded claims that money was being dished out to reject the report and the amendments to it. Kenmi Jungu with more on the latest bribery claims to have hit the House that a number of legislators have also denied.
The House of Honour has once again been hit by bribery allegations amid claims that some legislators had ganged up to throw out the sugar report that had implicated Cabinet Secretaries Henry Rotich and Aidan Mohammed for the influx of contraband sugar into the country. Kimilili Member of Parliament Didmas Barasa, one of the legislators we spoke to, pointed out that indeed the activities preceding the debate on the sugar report may have compromised it. The first-time legislator said he was offered 10,000 shillings to be in the group that would eventually shoot down the report. What began as a move to amend sections of the sugar report of the Joint Committees of Agriculture and Trade chaired by a Kieni Member of Parliament, Kanini Kega, and Mandera South Member of Parliament, Aiden Haji, culminated into name-calling as members of Parliament who debated traded accusations that the committee members themselves had been compromised to water it down.
We set them out on a mission to go and do tests, not testing. We have delivered a baby. The baby boy is a bouncing baby boy.
But Parliament's resolution to reject the sugar report for the second time no doubt left a sore taste in the mouths of many members of Parliament who walked out of the chambers and who countered with their own claims that those who rejected it had been bribed. There were claims that the legislators were lining up just before the afternoon sitting to receive what was referred to as facilitation ahead of the debate. In the envelopes were amounts ranging from 10,000 shillings to 50,000 shillings, with claims they were to be dished on depending on how much one contributed on the floor of the House. The latecomers are said to have walked out with nothing. It's not clear the source of the money or who it was intended to shield. Both the majority and minority leaders in the House give hints that some members of Parliament may have received money to compromise the report.
There is a lot of rumors also in the room, and I was asking myself, Mr. Speaker, whether when I make this contribution, immediately I leave here, I will not be accused as one of the people who probably has benefited from these rumors.
And Mr. Speaker, you know, I was in a function with the President, and I told the President, if I'm not here, they will tell me I have eaten and I have disappeared. So I had to leave the President and tell him, continue with your function and let me come back. That's why I came back late.
The two leaders marched their troops to reject the report that they termed as vague and as a tool to fire cabinet secretaries without following due process. They also said the report failed to provide concise answers whether the sugar was safe for human consumption or not.
What kind of lobbying was in the premises of Parliament? With not an iota of even respect for anybody. Not even the members who are here who have been given a chance to talk on the floor of the House. The Speaker selectively, using his own powers, gave the people who were opposing the report.
This was the second time the report from the Joint Committee failed on the floor of the House on account that it was flavorless and that the authors did not put in the work.
Little did we know that that was an opportunity, a scheme set up so that the whole process is scandalized.
It's also not the first time the members of Parliament had to ward off claims of underhand dealings within the House teams. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
And the story gets sweeter or sour depending on how you're looking at it, and Parliament seems to have conceded defeat in explaining how contraband and possibly contaminated sugar could have found its way to the shelves. A group of legislators now want the Director of Criminal Investigations to conduct a probe in order to bring those behind the sugar scandal to book. Others are even asking President Uhuru Kenyatta to intervene in order to protect the sugarcane farmer. NTV's Mel Miendo with more.
Legislators gave a brutal assessment of the sugar report, which failed to gain approval from a majority of the House members.
They ended up forming their own question, formulating their own question, coming up with their terms of reference, now coming up with their observations and making recommendations that are illegal and unconstitutional, it is very wrong and very unfortunate because we have used a lot of resources to allow that committee to sit. They were facilitated by Parliament, which is funded by the taxpayers' money.
Some legislators appear to admit that due to the inefficacies by the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Agriculture, the sugar scandal should be investigated outside the House.
There are other agencies that can still carry on investigations. The DCI, for example, is obligated in law to go and do proper investigation into those issues and take appropriate action, that is, if necessary.
We may also bring on board an investigative department so that it can help Parliament to achieve more on matters of investigation than what it is today.
Other legislators are of the view that the Kenya-led committee did not address the issues that Kenyans wanted to know and failed to implement measures that would protect local sugarcane farmers from contraband sugar.
Parliament lost an opportunity to rein in because by importing 1 million tons and yet the country only needs 200,000 shortfall from local manufacturing, you are actually saying that we have imported sugar that we would have imported in the next 5 years.
The issue of sugar is very sensitive, and as we speak now, the sugar we have in this country can last for 3 years, which is very dangerous. Even the sugar industries, they cannot even move. Western, they are crying. They have almost closed down the factories.
Members of Parliament are now calling for a direct intervention from President Uhuru Kenyatta, saying Kenyans are at a risk of possibly consuming contaminated sugar, which could be in the market. Mel Miendo, NTV.
Kenyans also weighed in on the sugar debate. A number of them concerned that the report debated in Parliament yet again did not address their most pressing concern. Was the impounded sugar fit for consumption?
Mbona kwa Parliament hawajatepo wakasema ukweli ya maneno ya hii sukari, tukasikia na wananchi wa huku pia wakajua.
Bunge wametu let down sana, kwa sababu kitu ambayo tulikuwa tunajua bunge ndo nasaidia wananchi, na wale wabunge ambao wameenda huko, hata mbunge wetu hapa pia tunamlaumu kwa sababu yeye ndiye anatakana atetee wananchi wa kawaida ambao walikuwa wanaenda kukufa na ile masukari ambayo inamaanisha kwamba Kenya imerudi nyuma.
Kama hao jamaa wameenda tumewapeleka huko, ndio hao ndio watetezi wetu na wamekwama huko. Hiyo ni kitu mbaya sana, kwa sababu wanatakana wakuja waambie mwananchi wa chini aelewe kwamba hii sukari iko hivi na hivi. Kama ni hivyo wafunge viwanda zile za sukari sote.
Kenya wanajua ni watu gani walihusika, lakini hakuna kitu itafanyika kwa sababu hawana ile ruhusa ya kuwafikia, kwa sababu wale wenye wangewa force kuwafikia pia walichukua kitu kidogo.
Ronald Odhiambo Kidero has been arraigned and charged with storing petroleum products that did not pass the Kenya Bureau of Standards requirements. Odhiambo, son of former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, appeared before Chief Magistrate Francis Andaito and was accused of being in possession of 14,000 litres of petrol and 28,000 litres of diesel, all declared substandard. The court also heard that Odhiambo has already sold the fuel to unsuspecting motorists along Kiambu Road. Odhiambo was released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings. His arrest came as his father spent the second night in custody after his lawyers were unable to process his bail on time. That's not all on corruption. ODM party leader Raila Odinga says that corruption has destroyed Kenya's economy and is calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to double his efforts in dealing with the vice. Odinga wants perpetrators of the vice to face the full force of the law. He spoke in Murang'a, where he was a guest at a graduation ceremony.
ODM party leader Raila Odinga says he fully supports President Uhuru Kenyatta's fight against corruption. Raila Odinga, who was speaking during a graduation ceremony in Murang'a University, said the war on graft must go on in order to save the taxpayers' money.
Corruption is being accepted as a way of life in Kenya. We must stop it being easy and profitable. We want to encourage Kenyans to believe that success comes from hard work and honest work.
He also took issue with the recurrent disputes witnessed during the electioneering period, calling on leaders both in government and opposition to unite and find a lasting solution.
We must fix our elections so that elections
cease to being a threat to stability, economy, and lives. Every 5 years, this country comes to a standstill as electioneering sets in. People lose businesses, properties, and life. We must stop this.
I'd also like to thank very much His Excellency Raila Odinga and His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta for the handshake that made it possible for us to be here today and to be here in happiness, and for giving us the Kenyan dream, which is a united Kenya.
Raila Odinga also honored veteran politician Charles Rubia for his contribution to democracy. Kevin Mutai, NTV.
With 24 minutes past the hour, NTV Weekend Edition takes its first break. But as Kenyans would say, Nenda hivi na come. Stay with us. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission commissioners null and void. Justice Wilfrida Okwany has said that the ruling was informed by the fact that commissioners failed to follow due process. Justice Okwany said that they just tendered the resignation via a press statement instead of writing to the appointing authority. The same sentiments were raised by the chairman of the commission, Wafula Chebukati, soon after their resignation. Paul Kurgat, Margaret Mwachanya and Connie Maina resigned in April for what they termed as a lack of confidence in the commission. Deputy President William Ruto says the government will not interfere with how the people of Turkana County decide to use proceeds from oil revenues, but cautioned that money meant for the community should not be misused, but should be channeled towards building Turkana County and changing the lives of its people. Residents of Turkana County have staged protests that have hampered the oil harvest, demanding for money allocated to the community. Tullow Oil agreed to resume oil field operations where they had shut down operations following the protests over revenues and insecurity. The president had in June dismissed calls for direct cash payments from the oil proceeds to individuals, saying the community should prioritize development where revenues would be channeled. The deputy president was speaking in Lodwar after the official opening of the dialysis wing at the Lodwar County and Referral Hospital.
Hiyo mambo tulienda tukaketi chini ya mwenyekiti wa Mheshimiwa Rais, tukaitana na viongozi wenu, tukakubaliana ile capping sisi tukaondoa, tukakubali ya kwamba 75% ikuwe national government, 25% itakuja hapa, na hiyo 25% hakuna haja ya ninyi kugombana. Hiyo 25% mtaamua wenyewe vile mnataka itumike. Katiba ambayo nyinyi mlipitisha ndio inasema gawanya na community, gawanya resources, natural resources na community. Bana piga kelele, wewe na mimi ndio tulipitisha hiyo katiba.
Mau Forest settlers will have to wait 45 days for the courts to rule on an application seeking to stop the Mau Forest evictions. The petition had been filed by 13 Mau Forest settlers. Meanwhile, leaders from Kericho County have called for investigations into allegations of rape and other sexual offences allegedly perpetrated by security officers conducting the operation to evict the Mau settlers. This follows complaints from over 3,000 evicted Mau settlers who are currently living in makeshift houses in areas of Narok County.
Allegations of rape and torture during the eviction exercise at the vast Mau Forest in Narok County have emerged. The men tasked with providing security now at the center of these allegations.
Mpaka saa hata tujui wamama walitoka wapi na walienda hospitali gani, mpaka saa hizi tujajua, tujapata matokeo sawa. Na waskari vile walifanya hiyo maneno sio ya kwanza, walifanya siku nyingine tena.
For fear of reprisals, no resident has reported the matter to the police. Over 3,000 people are now living in make-do houses after their homes were destroyed during the exercise and are now facing the risk of contracting diseases. They say some of the women have given birth at the camp and their health and that of their children are at risk due to lack of health facilities. In the meantime, Mau Forest settlers will have to wait 45 days for the court to deliver a ruling on a petition seeking orders to stop the Mau Forest evictions.
I'll deliver this ruling on 17th, which is I think a Monday, okay, at 3 p.m.
The Environment and Lands Court in Narok concluded hearing the petition that was filed by 13 Mau Forest settlers before High Court Judge Justice Mohammed Kulo. This means the second phase of the evictions may be delayed, even as the government said it will first have to verify the title deeds of some of those who claim to own land in the complex. Issues surrounding legality of title deeds, illegal extension of group ranches, the legitimacy of the cut line and the manner the evictions were conducted took center stage with lawyers from both sides pulling in different directions. Jane Ngwiri, NTV.
At 28 years old, Douglas Mwangi is a beacon of hope for youth in Mathare slums. You might be asking who's Douglas and why he's a beacon of hope. His organization, the Oasis Mathare, is an oasis of digital learning in Mathare, as it offers an opportunity for children and young adults to exercise their minds in academics and entrepreneurship. The impact of his work has been felt widely and he has even been among 53 young leaders from Commonwealth countries who received awards from the Queen of England for his invaluable role in the community. Charity Mwangi has his story in our continuing focus on the country's young and visionary.
Douglas Mwangi stands in front of a 3x3 meters make-do structure that once housed him, his 4 siblings and his parents. He knows too well the struggles of the slum life.
Most houses do not have electricity and it's really noisy for kids to do their homework and study. It's really hard for them to concentrate in that kind of environment.
Mwangi, however, seized the ripe opportunities from the raw ingredients that life offered. He founded the Oasis Mathare, a community-based organization where young leaders from this community can hone their digital and entrepreneurial skills in an environment that is missing in their homes. He is now a skilled and trusted leader in his community. While Mwangi has made a life for himself, Rael Kasioka is still figuring her life out. She hopes by signing up at the Oasis Mathare Center, she will find her leadership and enterprise edge.
I'm now 20. Nimekuwa Mathare for those 20 years. Na naweza sema Oasis imenihelp sana. Juu singekuwa naenda huko kusoma na busy na vitabu zangu, ningekuwa nimeingia kwa mambo ya drugs, vitu kaa hizo na vijana wengine hapa mtaani. The house is very small. We had 3 in the house. Tuko watoto 3 tunasoma. Pia kuna kelele, watu wakifungulia muziki, juu hizi ni iron sheets. Hiyo sauti ina pass. So inabidi tunaenda Oasis, tunaenda kusoma huko.
Kasioka got a C in last year's KCSE, which she attributes to the work that Douglas Mwangi and other volunteers at the Oasis put in.
Nilikuwa nikienda huko since form 1. That is back in 2014. Nimekuwa nikienda Oasis, nimesomea hapo. Nimekuwa badala kwenda tuition because that cannot be afforded in the slums. Nimekuwa nikienda hapo naenda kujisomea peke yangu. And it has helped me a lot because I'm still going far.
At the center, we witness firsthand Mwangi's dedication. He works in a small room that ill accommodates the swelling number of the youth here to slake their thirst for a better life, but he takes the challenge in stride.
I founded Oasis Mathare way back in 2013 with friends and family who came in, donated their books, who come with their laptops and desktop.
His vision was almost curtailed when their center was once demolished by a private developer.
We felt like maybe we should just give up because we have tried our best. So we partnered with local school. We had books that were after the demolition there, we had few books and computers that were left. So we partnered with the local school, set up a library and a computer lab.
But his desire to nurture the young dreams of the children of Mathare nudged him on.
This year we were privileged to, one of our beneficiaries got into national school. Really amazing, it's really inspired us. And if that can happen to this young lady, then it means that there's so many, they have that potential.
Mwangi from Kenya.
His hard work and dedication to his community has not gone unnoticed. Mwangi has been to the UK to meet the Queen after he won the Queen's Young Leaders Award.
Money is not everything. As long as you have an idea, just go for it, do your best, and you never know what might happen.
This highlight of his life's work left a lasting impression on him as his passion shines through with every interaction with the young men and women that he mentors.
Though their lives may be characterized by some degree of trouble, inside this room they forget those troubles and instead focus on their future, whatever that may look like. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Great story there by Charity Mwangi. I'm not sure if you caught it there as he was being awarded. He was called Mwangi. But hey, back home we call it Mwagi. Thanks also for the good work you're doing in Mathare. Umezingatia mayouth them. Asante. We'll be handling your business. Dan Mwangi actually will be handling your business after the break. Stay with us.
Soil Merchants Properties presents Kamulu Height Estate, located in Kamulu area along Kangunda Road at Mala Shopping Center. With 3-bedroom bungalows, it has a master bedroom and suite. Each house is meticulously set on an 1/8 of an acre with a recreational facility and a shopping complex. Welcome to our open day on the 11th August 2018. Viewing is also available daily with a special offer of 4 million shillings for cash buyers and 4.5 million shillings for mortgage buyers. SMS HOME to 21595. Do not miss out on a great opportunity to invest in your future.
Leo tutaonyesha njia ya kuhifadhi pesa katika nyakati hizi ngumu. Kwa nini sabuni hii inasafisha na ni bei rahisi? Lakini Ariel hungarisha zaidi kutumia sabuni kidogo zaidi. Haiwezekani. Nyasi, chai na kinywaji cha chokoleti itahitaji moja, vipimo viwili na kipimo kimoja tu cha Ariel. Mwosho bora, sabuni kidogo zaidi. Na hiyo ni akiba kweli. Moja tu imetosha.
USIU Africa offers market-relevant degree programs tailored for you.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, Safaricom plans to introduce the use of biometrics, this time through the use of fingerprints, to tackle SIM card fraud perpetrated via SIM swaps. The telco has not yet given a timeline for the exercise of introducing the new technology. At least 12 Safaricom employees have been prosecuted over fraud. Cases of customers falling prey to fraudsters have been on the rise. In many instances, customers receive calls from persons posing as officials of mobile operators and give out their personal details, which are then used to obtain funds either from the mobile wallets or bank accounts. The Kenya Pipeline Company has commenced repairs on the Sinendet-Kisumu oil pipeline following a spillage near Kondele in the Kibos-Kisumu highway. Now, that action came a little later. However, residents in their dozens took advantage of the spillage to scoop fuel using jugs and jerrycans. KPC says the oil spill was occasioned by what it suspects to be siphoning of fuel by a rogue trader. The leak was discovered at around 1 p.m. Despite contamination of the fuel with surface water, residents did their best to scoop as much of the fuel as possible. KPC is urging residents in close proximity to the leak area to move immediately to safer areas.
Then we're just coming to take it because we are not stealing. We just take it because it's for free. It's fuel, and that's why we are taking it.
Akuna matchbox asonge karibu. Tujue tu polepole, watu wa sigara, watu wa matchbox, watoke karibu kabisa. Watu wataki hapa.
That's one of the situations where you don't want to say it's lit. Now, the Netherlands is the world's second largest exporter of fruits and vegetables and also a major player in the seed potato business. The country, however, is so small and sits 14 times smaller than Kenya, yet it stands tall among those that feed the world. Unlike Kenya, where the bulk of the population is employed in agriculture, only 3% of the Dutch work in agriculture. So how does it do it? Zinab Wandati explains on Food Friday.
The Netherlands is a very small country, but one that is considered to be very densely populated, with a population of nearly 17 million people. But this country, as small as it is, it has managed to build itself into an agricultural powerhouse, rising to the #2 spot when it comes to agricultural exports. In fact, it is the second after the United States. But this country is doing so well when it comes to agriculture, and it has employed a lot of agricultural technology. And Food Friday is in the Netherlands this week and tells you exactly how this small powerhouse is able to feed itself and feed the world.
Streets that host the movement of a populace that oozes efficiency, and their farmers have this tag planted onto their track record, and with good reason. With a country so small and a population so dense, feeding them is a significant challenge. One of the things that makes these farmers stand out, besides the heavy mechanization, is that they practice crop rotation in a unique way. Rather than change the crop on the field, they change the field altogether.
So we make the crop rotation together. We also define, okay, for cauliflower this is the cost for a hectare of land, for potatoes it's this, and of course it's together that has then the general income.
Here's how it works. The farmers, mostly large-scale ones, come together into small, manageable groups, each member growing a different crop. They then evaluate each other's business models and agree to share their land such that instead of rotating the crop, they rotate the field. And depending on how many members there are in the group, it will be a few years before a particular crop, say potatoes, will be planted on the same field.
What we do is we discuss, I call it cost allocation. What is the cost allocation for cauliflower in a crop rotation? So you could say call it rent. Eh? So each crop has a different income model.
The members of the rotation group are then obligated to tend to the land as they would their own, nurturing the soils to improve fertility for the next farmer. At the end of the season, the members then meet and evaluate performance of each crop and each field and point out the improvements that need to be made for the next rotation.
You just have a kind of shareholder system, which I personally like, because sometimes I think cooperatives can also be, you need to take ownership. And I sometimes have the feeling that cooperatives, if you're not careful, everybody joins, and some people do the hard work and the other ones just follow.
It may look like a complicated system, but the farmers say it is the best model to work with because not only does it bring efficiency, but also enables them to scale up production. Pulling this off is not easy, especially if you're working below sea level. 25% of the Netherlands is below sea level, and this particular field is 4 meters below the sea.
Are you restricted on what kind of crops you can grow?
Yes, because of fungus, nematodes.
As efficient as the system is, it is not cheap. On average, land costs an equivalent of 10 million shillings per hectare.
Land prices going higher and higher. They double every 10 years since I farming. So the pressure to grow more and more high value crops is very high.
Nearly 2 decades ago, the Dutch made a national commitment to sustainable agriculture under the rallying cry, twice as much food using half as many resources. Since then, the farms have become highly mechanized and production scaled up. Zainab Wandati, NTV, for Food Friday.
Mark Masai, Brian Otwal are not done, but Business and I are. Good night.
Man, you got to have game. When it's all sweat, pressure and anxiety, yet that's just halftime. Stay cool and in the game with Imperial Leather for Men range. Wear luxury. A little luxury goes a long way.
Wase, hii bill ni yangu. Nimeuza shipment nzima in one day. So I'm paying for this.
Guys, let me pay this,
just finished my online degree.
Ah, yeah.
Guys, nimeacha job yangu leo. Because I'm starting my own business tomorrow.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Maybe we are entitled. But to hell with circumstance. We are the architects of our own story. We set our own goals, and we smash them. We are not going to wait our turn, and we aren't afraid to clap for ourselves. We stand up for what is ours, for our future, for ourselves. The truth is,
Welcome back. Here's something that should get you out of your comfort zone, even in thoughts. 84-year-old Naigzi Gebremedin is set to climb Mount Kenya in honor of the late Kenneth Matiba. Naigzi, who is climbing Mount Kenya for the 13th time, together with a team of 15 others will follow the Narumoru route. Naigzi's excursion will take place in the next 3 days. Apart from honoring the late politician, Naigzi is also set to break his own record of becoming the oldest man to climb Mount Kenya. Naigzi, who was or has Ethiopian roots, worked at the United Nations before he retired. As you reflect on that, there are some who have a challenge climbing out of bed. 10 more people have died in an Ebola outbreak in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the Health Ministry, 44 confirmed and probable cases had been recorded since the disease broke out in North Kivu. In Canada, at least 4 people were killed and 13 others injured in a shooting incident in one of the areas. Details in our international news roundup.
The toll in Congo continues to rise as more cases of Ebola virus rise. Health officials in Congo have been vaccinated against the deadly Ebola virus after an experimental vaccine proved successful during its first wide-scale usage against the previous outbreak in Equator province. But according to the Health Ministry, 43 people were believed to have been infected in North Kivu and Ituri provinces. The deployment of health services to the affected areas has been challenged due to insecurity in eastern Congo. At least 4 people were killed in a shooting in the eastern Canadian city of Fredericton. One person has been arrested. In a post on Twitter, police say the incident was still brewing and urged citizens to stay indoors. A sudden mountain torrent struck Beiyan City in northwest China, causing road blockage, houses flooded, and vehicles collided as they flashed into mud flows. 8 people were reported dead in the floods. Dozens of people were left stranded after the national highway in the city was flooded.
Start time for sports, and even as we look forward to the EPL kickoff at 10 p.m. Are you still supporting the same team? I think Brian Otwal is changing his because he was in a losing team, but he'll tell you more after the break.
Kenya needs to pick maximum points against Tunisia ahead of what will be winner takes it all in the last qualifier match against Namibia, seeking their 4th consecutive victory in the qualifiers of the Africa Gold Cup.
Don't worry, we've all looked at that victory that they had against Zimbabwe, so we know they've got talent there. We know we're going to have to be on our mettle to make sure that, you know, we don't try not to give them a sniff and get too confident, and we've just got to play well. So, but we're certainly not taking anything for granted.
Kenya will be motivated by the 2nd place position in the Six Nation table after straight wins over Morocco, Zimbabwe and Uganda, while Tunisia is placed 4th with 4 points, gained from a rare home win over Zimbabwe. Rivals Namibia, who are the defending champions, have won all their matches with huge margins and bonus points.
It will be a tough one, but the guys are mentally prepared. They know what Tunisia could bring, and I'm confident that we'll play well and we'll win.
And Kenya Sevens winger William Baka, who is set for his maiden test debut, believes his inclusion will impact better results for the side.
Being called up to represent your country is like one of the best feelings for any athlete. So I'm really happy and honored, and I just have to do the shot justice and give it everything that I have.
Tunisia, who are in the country, will be hoping to bounce back from a 67-12 loss to Uganda last weekend, seeking to avoid relegation. They also lost 108-0 to Namibia to lie 4th with 4 points, one ahead of 5th and 6th placed Zimbabwe and Morocco.
For us, it's about keeping our momentum that we started against Zimbabwe. Against Uganda for 30 minutes, we did very well. When we have the ball, we do our work, what we're trained to do, that's what we're trying to do. So tomorrow we need to build on that. And our discipline, if we keep our discipline and we keep the guys on the field and we can be competitive, that's what we have to do.
Namibia tops the 6 teams log with 20 points from 4 wins and are followed by Kenya Simbas with 12 points from 3 wins. The 2018 Africa Gold Cup is doubling up as a qualifier for the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan, with the competition's winner getting the sole ticket as Africa's top seed. Runners-up will head to the global repechage in November for the last chance to qualify for the World Cup, where they will play Canada, Germany and Hong Kong. And Gor Mahia and a hard-fought 2-1 win over Posta Rangers in the only KPL match played at the Moi Stadium in Kisumu. A goal each on either side of halftime from Jacques Tuisenge and Francis Kahata ensured the 3 points are for the defending champions, with Rangers getting their consolation through Calvin Odongo. The win sees Gor Mahia continue to lead the standings with 59 points, while Posta Rangers remain 10th with 31 points. On Saturday, Zoo FC take on Zoya Sugar in Kericho, and on Sunday, Thika United play Wazito, Madara United take on Kariobangi Sharks, Nakumatt play FC Leopards, Tusker battle Inform Bandari, while Sofapaka face Vihiga United. And Calflash Tundo, navigated by Team Jessop in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10, will be the first one off the ramp as the sixth leg of the 2018 Kenya National Rally Championship zooms off in Kilifi County on Saturday. The top Fry-sponsored driver will be seeking to win his fourth successive rally of the season at the C level. He leads a KNRC log on 100 points against Baldev Chaga, who, despite retiring on the belated third round at Lisa Farm, retained the second spot on 71 points. Second off the ramp will be Onka Rai, navigated by Gavin Lawrence in a Skoda Fabia RF5. The Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, ADAK, will partner with the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, to provide professional training and capacity building to advocates with a view to enhance their capacity in handling anti-doping cases. This was revealed by the CEO, Jafta Rugut, when he made a presentation during the LSK annual conference in Kwale.
Going forward, we're able to explore these new areas of engagement and be able to help this country to maintain its name in terms of participation in international competition, and also in terms of protecting the rights of the athletes as they compete internationally and even locally.
Nicodemus Kipkirui and Joan Chelimo are the winners of this year's Safaricom Kisii Half Marathon. Kipkirui crossed the line first after an hour, 2 minutes and 39.1 seconds ahead of Norbert Kigen and Emmanuel Bor. In the women's category, Joan Chelimo emerged victorious in an hour and 12 minutes 25.5 seconds, beating Joy Kemuma and Lydia Njeri in second and third place respectively. The winners pocket 100,000 shillings each, while the runners-up received 50,000 shillings rather, and 30,000 shillings each.
I used this race as a preparation for my races in September. I had no race since April, so it's just a matter of preparation and I'm so happy.
Nilikuwa nakuja hapa kujaribu kama mwili iko sawa, ina respond. Sasa nimeona niko sawa sasa. Naenda kujibribia kwa hiyo race hii.
And Manchester United get the 2018-2019 Premier League season campaign underway tonight as they host Leicester.